stopped doing that. I'm now a full-time pickleball instructor and player, and I teach at a country club in Salem, so a little bit further north. My good friend Steve Paranto here, first of all, has been a 5-0 in pickleball longer than anyone in pickleball history since 1974.
Awesome.
Round of applause.
Woohoo!
Pickleball Hall of Fame inductee 2019, and I could say so many good things about this guy, but great player, even better human, great instructor, has had his hand in like everything in pickleball development. How many of you use the drop serve? You know who invented that?
Ta-da!
This guy right here. How many of you do stacking when you play pickleball? This guy right here.
Wow.
So,
And my partner.
and your partner.
That kind of leads me to, and I always tell people, you know, at 66 years old, now the sport is the biggest sport in America, probably will be in the world before we know it. I consider myself lucky to have been growing up in the right location at the right time with the right dad, and I'll feed that into the story in a second. So I lived near Seattle. I was going to a community college. I was a tennis player. I was going there to major in physical education and play tennis on the tennis team. Going to this community college, it rains a lot in the Northwest, like it's been doing for the last 3 months there. We'd go to the gym to work out, and we'd see these people batting a wiffle ball back and forth on a gym floor on a small court with wooden paddles and holes. What's that? That's pickleball. It was invented not too far from here in Bainbridge Island. Well, let's try. All of the tennis players played. We got good at it really well. In fact, I started to like it better than tennis. We had intramural tournaments there that my partner and I were winning. 2 years later, they put on, the inventors of the sport put on, and these inventors eventually created Pickleball Incorporated, which now is Pickleball Central. What was billed as the world's first pickleball championships in 1976 at South Center Athletic Club. My partner and I, we're 20-year-old. He's 23, I'm 20. Probably pretty cocky. We think we're gonna just kill everybody. And we made it to the finals of the doubles. And these guys who learned on the original court where it was invented hit the ball soft. We went, what? What are you doing? Anyway, back then championships were best out of 5. They beat us 3 straight in the finals. So we lost. But in singles, you know, it's more like tennis. He and I made it to the finals against each other. My partner beat me. So I always tell people I'm the first loser of pickleball. But in the history of pickleball, they always talk about that 1976 tournament. A few years later, I was a PE teacher. Sid Williams formed USAPA, first governing body, and we had tournaments in Washington State about every 6 weeks. And I played in those, and I introduced my dad to the sport. And I complained about these heavy wooden paddles. My partner and I were losing in those finals. It was a different partner. And I weighed the paddle. They weighed 13 times heavier than the ball. I weighed my tennis racket, only weighed 7 times heavier. I told my dad that, who's a Boeing engineer. A week later, he's got 2 prototypes, which are similar to what you're using. So we created the first composite paddle, ProLite. For 12, 14 years, we were the only company selling a composite paddle. If you wanted to play a pickleball tournament, you had to use our paddle. You couldn't compete with a wooden paddle and do very well. So my dad was inducted in the Hall of Fame the first year in 2017 with the inventors. He was really honored to do that. I say I'm fortunate because I have a dad who, you know, I tell this to. We became fun pickleball. We did everything together in life, but pickleball was something we shared. People ask me, well, are you sad that, you know, that the sport wasn't great when you were, you know, big and popular when you were 18, so you could have been dominant? Well, I wouldn't have been dominant. The level of athletes that are playing are incredible. These are all pro tennis players. There is a reason I played small college tennis, because I couldn't play NCAA tennis. Well, it relates to pickleball. But after 48 years of this game and teaching this game and seeing it grow, and every couple of years, you know, I learn something new. This game is progressing. We'll be teaching you things that are fairly new in the last 4 or 5 years. Some of the things that I taught Wes, I should say that I was going to teach Wes, and he said, well, I think I want to do it this way. Like, are you kidding? That's not going to work. And he showed it could work. So I learned that as a tennis coach, coaching people. Like, I've coached about 8 national champions, and Wes being one of them. And so again, I just like to say I'm just kind of lucky to be at the right place at the right time, and here I am in my 60s, so excited to be on a court with people like you that are loving the game, and it makes me feel this is the only time of the day that I feel young again, is when I'm playing pickleball and teaching pickleball, and it truly does. So yeah.
Gotcha.
Thanks,
Round of
Steve.
applause
Yeah,
for Steve.
woohoo!
A lot of history.
Yeah, it's
A lot
awesome.
of history. So,
All right.
It sounds like, John, if I'm correct here, most folks here are in the 3.035 or upper 3.5 range,
375-ish, yep.
looking to elevate their game. And the one thing that's really unique about pickleball compared to about every other sport, the better players play at a slower pace, right? When you go to a park and you see people hitting the ball hard, it's usually the lower level players, because as you elevate your skill level, everyone's pretty good at hitting the ball up here and up here. The better players control the ball down below. So we're going to focus a lot on control today. Control up at the net, control back here at the baseline as well. All right? How many of you just love dinking? Anyone like dinking? No.
That's just for a
You're
second
pretty
button
good
there.
at it.
You are good at it, though,
Yeah,
yeah. So my goal is, and for Steve and I, the end of today, you get more comfortable dinking. Because if you want to elevate that pickleball game, you got to get comfortable dinking. So we're going to give you some tips and tools, and we're going to play a lot and have some fun.
And yesterday, if you were in both, we spent all of our time up here.
Up here?
We're also going to do some things today that show you how to get up there
Yep.
from that position, the transitional area. So that's another funny thing is, you know, we call this the transitional area in pickleball. Tennis, what do you call it?
No man's land.
We don't call it that anymore, though.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and it's so funny because I'll even say something worse. So sometimes when we were calling this no man's land, then we started calling it real man's land. Because if you can play here and turn this into a dink, you're really a player, right? So we'll teach you how to be able to also turn this into a dink from here, out of the air or.
For sure. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Let's come on over to
Yep.
maybe along the fence here.